Yeah, so I introduced myself earlier, but just to repeat, I'm Dyson. I am an ALS patient, and I'm the founder and MD of ChallengeWorks. You're going to hear from me first, and then from my colleague Amalia. So this is about an initiative which we launched earlier this year on June 25th at an event in London and in Boston, which is about encouraging data discovery, target discovery in data sets for ALS. The organization that I founded is, we design and deliver challenge prizes, and we develop these all around the world to stimulate and support innovation in a whole variety of different sectors. Some statistics up there about how much money we've awarded and so on over the years, with breakthroughs in all sorts of areas, including in health. Yeah, this just gives you some idea of the breadth of what we do, from global surgery to mobility. But basically, we're kind of innovation experts. That's what we do. We're not specifically health experts. Our flagship prize is called the Longitude Prize. We do lots of other prizes, but the one that we are particularly proud of and is our boldest prize is the Longitude Prize. And this is named after the original Challenge Prize, which was in 1714. And a big problem at that time was, how do you effectively measure longitude at sea? Lots of brilliant scientific minds had tried to come up with a solution. Galileo had tried, Sir Isaac Newton had tried and failed. And it was a big problem because ships would set off to sea and they'd get lost. And this resulted in a lot of deaths. So it was a known public health problem. And it was also a hugely costly exercise, so it hindered global commercial trade and travel. So it was a big problem at that time. And this prize was launched for whoever could come up with a solution that would accurately measure longitude at sea. It came up with lots of solutions, lots of innovation came out of it: sextants, better star navigation, but it was ultimately the Harrison chronometer, the H4 chronometer, that solved the problem and won the award. And it completely changed the world and enabled sea navigation like never before. We brought it back on its 300-year anniversary, and now there are a number of Longitude Prizes. And the last winner of the last Longitude Prize, to give you some idea, was last year. And this was focused on a different topic area, antimicrobial resistance, and the prize looked for a diagnostic that would tell you accurately, quickly, and affordably in under 45 minutes whether you had a bacterial infection or a viral infection. This is in primary care settings. And if you have a bacterial infection, it needed to be able to identify the most appropriate antibiotic. And this was won last summer by a team from Sweden, who set up a company, a university team that set up a company to specifically tackle this problem, and was then acquired by a big Japanese company as they progressed through the prize. If you happen to be in London, this is a permanent exhibit at the London's Science Museum. If you don't happen to be in London, it should be coming to clinics near you soon in the next couple of years, and it's a revolution. It's a doctor in a box. The new Longitude Prize is focused on ALS, largely because of my diagnosis. And this, as I said, was launched in June. And this is, you'll probably recognize Lucy Hawking, the daughter of Stephen Hawking. And she talked particularly about her father's prediction that AI was going to be able to solve complex disease, including ALS, and he made this prediction about 10 years ago at an event at Google. We think, and some of the conversations so far I think have reinforced it, that the conditions are set, are very good for ALS. So for a number of reasons. Firstly, the knowledge of the disease has completely transformed because of the efforts of people in this room and others around the world in the last 10, 15 years. And we've already talked about the exciting example of tofersen for SOD1 as an example of that. So this kind of foundational knowledge has gone from being not very good to being significant. But as we've also talked about, there is also this opportunity, which is through AI. As we said earlier, ALS is extremely complicated, multifactorial, and it's that complexity that really lends itself to these new models. So if you think, politicians often talk about how AI is going to be a big deal for cancer, and it may well be, but in many cases, cancer is kind of getting licked, so and the knowledge is very good, so it's an incremental improvement in many cases, where I think in neurodegenerative diseases, it's going to be an absolute revolution, and it's you're all at the forefront of that revolution. The other is the data. We've talked about that. The more data that becomes available, the more possibility there is for these models to be able to interrogate that data and help to ultimately develop solutions. Amalia will talk through the data offer that we've got, but it's the largest disease data set of its kind, which will be available through this prize. I sort of made this point earlier. I mean, we think AI in ALS and in other neurodegenerative diseases could be completely transformational rather than incremental. And there's a huge opportunity. It's going to be a big deal over the next 10, 15 years. And I think we're at the grounds of a big revolution that's going to be very exciting. But I want to hand over to my colleague who will talk through the prize itself.
Thank you, Tris, and thanks to the organizers for the invitation. It's an honor to be here to present to this wonderful community. So I'll talk to you about the prize stages. The Longitude Prize on ALS is a $10 million initiative that will run for over 5 years. We are currently at the recruiting stage. We are open to applications until the 3rd of December. And we are inviting people that have AI expertise in computational biology or disease expertise in ALS or neurodegeneration to form teams and apply. We are able to enable these collaborations as well through different avenues. And then we have an amazing judging panel of 12 experts in ALS, AI, pharma, that will select in the first round 20 teams to begin with. And the aim is to identify up to 10 novel therapeutic targets for ALS. And the teams are going to be provided with financial support. The 20 teams are getting, in the first stage, 100,000 pounds. I realize I have that in pounds. I would swear I had it in dollars. So I think that's $134,000 for each team in the first stage. And then in the second round, 10 teams are going to build further their evidence base for the proposed therapeutic targets in silico and in the lab. And the teams are going to be provided with about $270,000. And then 5 teams are going into the third stage, a bit more funding there, to validate the identified targets in the wet lab. Finally, we're going to have one winning team with the highest potential target that will get a $1.3 million prize. But funding is not only what we are providing. We will be supporting the teams throughout the stages with training, with compute, wet lab support, support with access to investment, and more importantly, also access to the world's largest combined data set, which I'm going to speak to you about now. So we have put together a very big data set, multi-omic data from ALS individuals and controls gathered from different global initiatives from the ALS TDI Institute. You will recognize from the US, Answer ALS, ALS Compute, the New York Genome Center, and from Europe, Project Mine, from the UK, and that's a population. So we have over 9,000 ALS cases of whole genome sequence data and over 3,000 controls. And the cases and controls are jointly processed and realigned and regenotyped to harmonize with the UK Biobank. So this resource can also be used as an additional data. And we also have overlapping multi-omic data, transcriptomics, epigenomics, and proteomics from iPSC-derived motor neurons and blood and some brain samples as well. And in addition, we have clinical data. So we have for all cases, basic clinical data, demographics, disease history, progression, the cognitive status, genetic history, and treatments. But we also have for a subset of the cases richer clinical data, longitudinal data that can be used in combination with the biological data to find therapeutic targets for ALS. So everything is going to be provided through a secure cloud platform through DNA Nexus that is using AWS infrastructure. So this is a platform that is great for genomics and bioinformatics analysis that enables secure data management, analysis and sharing. It has preloaded cloud computing and bioinformatics tools that you can use, but also you can upload and analyze your own data. You can install custom software, write your own analysis. And the teams are going to be using private spaces to integrate everything. In addition, we will be providing compute and storage credits so that the teams can do the research without having to worry about the financial costs. So we think that using this data set, there is a great potential for identifying drug targets for ALS to begin with. So this can be done by linking the molecular changes to clinical disease features to uncover genes, proteins, or pathways that are dysregulated in ALS, or find subgroups of patients that have distinct molecular signatures, biomarkers predictive of progression, or upstream regulators of, or pathways that could be modulated with drugs. And the advantage of having this rich multimodal data set is that you can look at it, you can integrate everything and not look at a single modality, but triangulate, and hopefully that will help the teams find innovative solutions that can be translated to drug targets. So how are we going to judge applications in the first round? We will be judging on the potential for innovative computational methods. We ask the teams to have the required expertise, which is likely to be multidisciplinary, like the AI and disease expertise. We will be judging on the scientific rationale and milestones, of course, also the plan for replication and data robustness, the plan for pathway to clinical impact, and finally, how the teams are going to leverage the resources and bringing additional resources to the program. So as I said, we are open to applications worldwide until the 3rd of December. We invite applications from both academia and industry biotechs, and the teams are likely to be multidisciplinary, as I said. If this is something that is, might be of interest to you, and you have some expertise, but you are missing the other, if you are an ALS expert, but you don't have the AI background, or the other way around, we are here to help facilitate new partnerships, you can register on our website. We have a platform where you can see people looking for collaborators, and you can contact them directly. And we know that as the stages evolve, the teams are also likely to evolve. So if you don't have the wet lab expertise for the last round, the teams will be supported as they progress through each round with capabilities from our partners as needed. So this is our website. Here you can register and see what comes next for the prize. And finally, this is brought to you by many partners. The M&D Association is our principal funder, but we also have 7 other global funders. In the US, the Packard Center and 10,000 Brains. We've got partners from Australia and the UK. And of course, our data and technology partners, including ALS TDI. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Do we have any questions from the audience or online? Megan, do we have some online?
Hello. So one of our questions is, how will updates about the selection process be shared, and where can people connect with this program to stay up to date on the progress of the challenge?
I would look at our social media channels. So on LinkedIn, Twitter, there's another one, isn't there?
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky, thank you. And also the website. The intention is, I mean, a prize like this is very public, so our intention is to communicate as much as possible. We also have a patient panel that will be working with us to sort of promote particular aspects of the prize. We will also publish findings, but we will publish negative findings so that people then don't go down alleyways that have already been explored. And then it'll be up to the participating teams themselves, according to their IP, what they decide to share or not as they progress.
And I actually had a question. How do you feel the competitive aspect of the prize has affected the different challenges in the past and the prize this year?
Yeah, it's an interesting mix. It's a bit of both, because you create a cohort once teams are selected, and there's a lot of sharing and camaraderie that goes on, and sometimes you even get teams joining up. And then as you get closer to the next application deadline, they sort of go into their respective corners. So I think it's a healthy thing to have a competitive process. And as we go through the prize, teams will progress on the basis of what they've demonstrated and delivered, rather than anything else. Yeah.
Other questions? Oh.
Will you have like a panel of judges that rate this, and where do those judges come from?
Do you want to do that one?
Yeah. Yes, we do have an independent judging panel. It is comprised of 12 experts. You can see all of them on the website. We've got ALS experts, Amalia, Jeff Rossine, but we also have experts from AI, biotech, pharma.
I just add to that, we also have partners who are going to help with the analysis of the teams. LifeArc in particular are going to help with that, so the judges don't have to, dig through huge amounts of data themselves. Yeah.
Thank you, Amalia and Tris.